To no one's surprise, Sirius is, well, beyond broken, and easily better than Prime Larry and Larry. But it's not as balancing that I'm angry about this time. Sirius is the 100th brawler added to Brawl Stars, and the hype for him was unreal. The Star Pack lore was brought back, and we learned that Sirius was the first act of the park. However, as he liked to share the spotlight, he was then forced to leave. While Sirius is an ultra-legendary brawler, veterans who already had all of them could easily get him. This made him feel accessible and way less pay to win than Kaze. Like, Sirius definitely fits the ultra-legendary rarity with his ability to control shadows. Of the past 12 brawlers to be added, there's been 1 Ultra, 1 Legendary, 9 Mythics, and 1 Epic. Trunk was the only Epic brawler added in over a year. Do you see the problem here? Brawlers like Globert, with some of the simplest mechanics in the game, are now being added to the Mythic rarity. Also, why did we change his name? Glowy makes him sound cute. His whole kit is based on the fact that he's ugly. But rarities have always meant the complexity of a brawler. Rares had the simplest mechanics. Super rare was when brawlers started to become slightly complicated through their attacks or have summonables. Epics were when basic traits got introduced, and mythics would bring whole new concepts to the game altogether, usually through a trait. Legendaries would get kits made entirely around a new mechanic or trait, and then ultra legendaries would be 2 brawlers in 1, or have mechanics that act very differently with different brawlers, like Sirius's Shadows. But this trend with new brawlers is very concerning. A free-to-play player is only guaranteed 1,400 credits a season, excluding RNG sources. This means that with most new brawlers, a free-to-play player won't be able to get them super easily unless they have some credits saved up. So only 1 epic is released, it becomes significantly more difficult for free-to-play players to keep up. And they're already having to deal with buffies, which are fun, but very expensive. This also means an ultra-legendary brawler will take roughly 4 months to get, putting free-to-play players even further behind, as there's no epics to help them catch up. And it's not like Brawl Stars doesn't put mechanically complex brawlers in lower rarities. Shade was the most complicated epic of all time. He had 2 traits and brought a new mechanic to the game, being the ability to go through walls. Yes, he was easy to play, but he had one of the most extensive kits of all time. If he was put in a high rarity, he would have made Brawl Stars more money. But that's why Ultra Legendary was added, to fund the adding of characters with significantly more complicated kits and abilities. But why stop adding epics? And well, it's for that reason. The same reason as to why super rares and rares are no longer added, and it's just making rarity inflation worse. There are now more mythics than any other rarity, and in another year, they'll make almost half the brawlers in the game. Part of this is the increase in credits they've given to players. They've buffed the pass and events. Over time, this has added up to epics no longer being profitable for the devs. This has come at a price though. Rarities have lost their meaning, and legendaries don't feel special anymore. It's not that Brawl Stars won't fix this issue. A new rarity between Epic and Mythic, or even Mythic and the Legendary, would allow the devs to increase monetization on new brawlers, while also addressing the problem with rarities. But it would spread out brawlers even more. It would make rarities more streamlined, but this would only work in the short term. What happens to those 200 brawlers again? You're just gonna have another issue, the same thing over and over. The devs have also said they were open to changing the rarities of brawlers, but players who brought a brawler or got a legendary, like Spike, would be sad if it then became an epic. Now, I think some brawlers could easily be changed, or at least most brawlers between super rare to mythic, as these ones don't usually have a ton of value in the first place, or at least compare them to legendaries and higher. Then, they announced they considered removing rarities. But if they were to do so, they would have to come up with an entire new progression system that would make sense, be easy to understand, but the big problem with doing so is what if they just make it worse? So, why don't they just buff credits? Shouldn't that fix everything? Well, no, it would actually do the opposite. Free-to-play players earn 1,400 credits a season, excluding RNG sources. This makes a Mythic Brawler fairly easy to unlock, or at least reasonable for an active player. So if they increase it to say 2,000, all of a sudden Legendary Brawlers would almost be easy to get, and they would lose their remaining sense of value. You would no longer feel accomplishment by getting one, just like a Legendary Star Drop. This shows how deeply rooted the problem is. Luckily, Brawl Stars are some of the best devs out there, so I know that they could fix this. Rarities have influenced brawler creation since the game's inception, but as more and more brawlers get added, they just make less and less sense. So if Mythic is the new Epic, and Legendary is the new Mythic, what happens once Ultra Legendaries are no longer special?